Okay, continuing where we were cut off more or less, I think you have to rewatch like 10 seconds because I do this stuff on auto upload and I'm just trying to get the timing right because I record it and then upload it through editing software. It takes like 3 times longer and it makes my computer all slow while it's doing it, which is not acceptable. So, okay, so let's go here again to the new thing they're releasing. And yeah, I have it set what the time it started at, so you have to fast forward yourself if you don't want to watch this clip a little bit again.
Story that's just happened, right?
Yeah.
What is this?
So this is like a sample of what we do sort of every day. So late last year, in November last year, there was a series of well blowouts in Albania, like the well blowout in the Gulf of Mexico, but not quite as big. And we got a report, a sort of engineering analysis into what happened, saying that in fact security guards from some rival various competing oil firms had in fact parked trucks there and blown them up. And the Albanian part of the Albanian government was in this, etc., etc. And the engineering report had nothing on the top of it. So it was an extremely difficult document for us. We couldn't verify it because we didn't know who wrote it and knew what it was about. So we were kind of skeptical that maybe it was a competing oil firm just sort of playing the issue up. So under that basis, we put it out and said, look, we're skeptical about this thing. We don't know, but what can we do? The material looks good, it feels right, but we just can't verify it. And we then got a letter just this week from the company who wrote it, wanting to track down the source. And saying, hey, we want to track down the source, and we were like, oh, tell us more. What document is it precisely you're talking about? Can you show that you had legal authority over that document? Is it really yours? So they sent us this screenshot with the author in the like Microsoft Word ID. Yeah. That's happened quite a lot, though. This is like one of our methods of identifying, verifying what material is to try and get these guys to write letters.
Yeah. Have you had information from inside BP?
Yeah, we have a lot, but I mean, at the moment, we are undergoing a sort of serious fundraising and engineering effort. So our publication rate is, over the past few months, has been sort of minimized while we're re-engineering our back systems for the phenomenal public interest that we have.
All right. Sorry if there's audio, but I'm going to have a link to the video as well. Okay, then he asks him a little bit about his hacker background, which warms my heart because, you know, there is this old white hat hacker idea, and it has been destroyed a little bit. So he talks a little bit about this and hacking and journalistic activism in his childhood.
Oh, I mean, you were also a hacker at an early age and ran into the authorities early on.
Well, I was a journalist. You know, I was a very young journalist activist at an early age. I wrote a magazine and was prosecuted for it when I was a teenager. So you have to be careful with hacker. I mean, there's a method that can be deployed for various things. Unfortunately, at the moment, it's mostly deployed by the Russian mafia in order to steal your grandmother's bank accounts. So this phrase is not as nice as it used to be.
It makes me think of my own history and feelings on that sort of thing. Let's see, how am I doing on time? Okay, this is a warm, comforting part.
But what about, I mean, your core values? Can you give us a sense of what they are and maybe some incident in your life that helped determine them?
I'm not sure about the incident, but the core values, well, the capable, generous men do not create victims, they nurture victims. And that's something from my father and something from other capable, generous men that has been in my life.
Capable, generous men do not create victims, they nurture victims.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm a combative person. So I'm not actually so big on the nurture, but some way, there is another way of nurturing victims, which is to police perpetrators of crime. And so that is something that has been in my character for a long time.
Okay, so I wouldn't quite put it that way, because I don't think you want to nurture victims. You want to get rid of victims. So I think the way I would put what he just expressed is that strong men don't, and women, don't victimize weaker people. They nurture weaker people. That's the way I would put it. Now, this is an interesting story on what has happened in Iceland. And I had heard they were centered in Iceland, but I just thought that's, I don't know, some Icelandic link. But no, it has a direct link to the freedom of the press and what's happened in Iceland as a result of a WikiLeaks leak. Or WikiLeaks link. I've been calling it WikiLeaks. Oh well. Okay, WikiLeaks.
So just tell us very quickly in the last minute that's remaining, what happened in Iceland? You basically published something there, ran into trouble with the bank. The news service there was injuncted from running the story. Instead, they publicized your side. That made you very high profile in Iceland. What happened next?
Yeah, so this is a great case. Iceland went through this financial crisis. It was the hardest hit of any country in the world. Its banking sector was 10 times GDP, the rest of the economy. Anyway, so we released this report in July last year, and the national TV station was injuncted 5 minutes before it went on air, like out of a movie. Injunction landed on the news desk, and the newsreader was like, this has never happened before, what do we do? Well, we just show the website instead for all that time as a filler. And we became very famous in Iceland, went to Iceland and spoke about this issue. And there was a feeling in the community that should never happen again. And as a result, working with Icelandic politicians and some other international legal experts, we...
Okay, I want to say really quickly, partly of what America's role in the world right now is like, the European countries have all of these empire-oriented hang-ups and things. They invented them in the West, at least, our version. But right now, America is the one acting. They all get to think, oh, look at America, they do these kinds of things, and really, it's happening at home. But they'll look at themselves and say they don't want to be that way because they enjoy realizing that other people are doing that. So they can't afford to do it themselves. So it's an interesting thing. And what's going to happen is, so America's taking the sins of the world this way, and we're going to send all of those sins to Hollywood, make a big blockbuster movie that's the most expensive, $1 trillion movie, and it's going to be a flop, and that's how we'll purge ourselves. So it's working. Let's keep going. Okay, keep going on this quote.
Put together a new sort of package of legislation for Iceland to sort of become an offshore haven for the free press, with the strongest journalistic protections in the world, with a new Nobel Prize for freedom of speech. Iceland's a Nordic country, so like Norway, it's able to tap into the system. And just a month ago, this was passed by the Icelandic parliament unanimously.
Wow.
Okay, now, isn't that great? I don't have much time to talk about it, but I think that's great. I said ahead of time what it is. So now, a last little comment on where things are going.
Good. When you think of the future then, do you think it's more likely to be Big Brother exerting more control, more secrecy, or us watching Big Brother, or it's just all to be played for either way?
I'm not sure which way it's going to go. I mean, there's enormous pressures to harmonize freedom of speech legislation and transparency legislation around the world, within the EU, between China, United States. Which way is it going to go? It's hard to see. That's why it's a very interesting time to be in, because with just a little bit of effort, we can shift it one way or the other.
Good message. I'm going to make one more video about a clip I didn't put in here because it's specifically about the Apache thing, and it's a really good answer to something that's very important to me about that. All right, cheers.